I was reborn at my first birthday party. Endowed with the powers of a lucky charm, I ignored my parents' hopeful plea. In my previous life, I used my abilities to make my family rich. My eldest brother became a business tycoon, my second a famous surgeon, and my third a pop star. Only my adopted sister, Julia, gained nothing from my luck. She failed her college entrance exams at 18, was kidnapped at 20, and died in an accident at 25. Before she died, she whispered tearfully, "It's not Mia's fault. I was always an outsider. It makes sense she wouldn't help me." My family, however, believed I had let her suffer out of jealousy. They imprisoned me, conducted cruel experiments to channel my luck and resurrect Julia, and tortured me until I died. Now, my eyes opened again at my first birthday party. My father smiled down at me. "My darling daughter," he cooed, "should I sign this $10 million project?" I blinked, then smeared a handful of mud across his face. The room fell silent. I grabbed more wet soil from a flower pot and slapped it onto his cheek. The hands holding me froze, and my father's expression wavered. Guests exchanged nervous glances. Only Julia's eyes glimmered with a strange triumph before she let out a shriek and rushed forward, pretending concern. "Daddy, are you okay? Mia is being such a handful." My father wiped his face furiously and shoved me into the nanny's arms. The mystic said she had a lucky charm aura, that she was born lucky. Why is she acting like a little demon? Julia bit her lip, whispering just loud enough for everyone to hear. "She's been with us a year, and it's not like she's brought much luck. Maybe it's not real? I was taking care of her the other day and she bit me. She's not some prodigy. She's more like..." My eldest brother snorted. "A demon child, more like it. Mia has done nothing but torment us since birth. Julia's been neglected and suffered because of her. This lucky charm thing is a scam. She's a troublemaker sent to ruin us." My mother frowned, then sighed. "She's only a year old. What does she know?" Still, the company did go public right after she was born. Maybe the mud was her way of warning you. My father paced.
"Fine.
I won't sign the project. Let's see if she really has magic or not." With that, he hurried off to change, and my birthday party ended abruptly. The moment my parents left, Julia's mask fell. Her eyes turned venomous. "You really are a lucky charm, little sister. Daddy didn't punish you. Blood really is thicker than water." My eldest brother approached, disdain in his glance. "Don't worry, Julia. We only see you as our sister. If that mystic hadn't said Mia could bring luck, Mom and Dad would never have had her. If she ever tries to compete with your affection, we'll be on your side." The other brothers nodded, comforting her. In my past life, my parents had adopted Julia after 3 sons and bonded deeply with her. My brothers saw me as an afterthought, an accident. Since my luck never extended to Julia, they thought I deliberately hurt her. Naively, I believed showering them with good fortune would make them love me. Instead, I was tortured and dismembered. Now, watching them act like a happy family, I let out a piercing wail. Julia shot me a cold look, raising her hand as if to pinch me. Just then, my father rushed back in, eyes alight. He scooped me up. The lead company for that project ran off with the money. It was a scam. We were saved. "Mia, you really are my lucky star." My father roared with laughter and told the butler to have a solid gold security pendant made for me. "We can't neglect my little lucky star. From now on, only the best for Mia." My brothers and Julia stared at him, stunned. "Dad, how can you favor Mia like this?" My third brother protested. "Julia is our sister too." Julia's eyes filled with tears on cue. She lowered her head, the perfect picture of quiet suffering. My father cleared his throat and put me down.
Now.
"I've treated Julia like my own daughter for years. How could I be biased?" Then he added quickly, "Didn't Julia like that $20 million necklace the other day? I'll have it delivered to the house today." Julia's tears vanished instantly. She ran to him with a bright smile. "Oh, Daddy, you're the best. I was so worried that after Mia was born, you wouldn't care about me anymore." He stroked her hair fondly. "Silly girl. You'll always be Mommy and Daddy's little princess." She turned back toward me with a triumphant smirk. I didn't understand why Julia was so hostile toward a 1-year-old, but it was clear she had been determined to crush me from the start. My father often asked for my lucky input on his decisions, but I didn't always oblige. Whenever they tried to force me to use my powers for Julia's benefit, I would burst into tears. For the next month, bad luck would strike the whole family. My parents' business would falter. My eldest brother would be sabotaged by a competitor. My second brother would swear he saw a ghost in the hospital morgue. My third brother would think he'd been scouted by a talent agent, only to get scammed out of all his savings. After it happened several times, they noticed the pattern but couldn't figure out the cause. I was not yet 2 and barely speaking, so I simply pretended not to understand. Julia's expression grew uglier by the day. Now anyone looking in from the outside would think the family's misfortunes revolved around her. The breaking point came when another of my father's ventures collapsed, almost bankrupting the company. Julia burst into tears, covering her face. It's me. The bad luck is because Mia doesn't like me. I should leave. I can't drag Mom, Dad, and my brothers down with me. They all rushed to her, their faces etched with panic. Julia, it's not your fault. You're our daughter. This will always be your home. That's right. If anyone's to blame, it's Mia. She's stealing our good luck. That's why everything keeps going wrong. At my second brother's words, my mother's gaze turned resentful. I wish Julia were my biological daughter. She's so sweet and obedient, not like this little monster who's been causing trouble since she turned 2. My father's patience finally broke. I'm calling the mystic back. He said Mia would bring us fortune, but all she's done is curse us. I want answers. When the mystic arrived, he observed me for a long time. I pointed my chubby finger at Julia and managed a single babyish word. Dark, dark. My eldest brother's face twisted. Julia is fair and beautiful. Mia's just spouting nonsense. No wonder she's been cursing us. The others looked equally displeased, their hearts aching for Julia's pitiful expression. But the mystic stroked his beard and spoke at last. This has nothing to do with Miss Mia. The source of the recent misfortune is Miss Julia. The word had barely left his mouth before they all shouted in unison, Impossible. My third brother's voice shook with rage. You're a fraud. Julia has lived with us for over a decade. How could she possibly bring us bad luck? He looked ready to hit the man, but my father held him back. My father's eyes narrowed. Master, you told me my daughter would bring good fortune, but you never said Julia was cursed. My whole family is suffering because of Mia. You owe me an explanation. My mother, eyes red, pulled Julia into her arms. Master, please do something. Break this curse. The mystic only shook his head. Mia's luck can only affect her blood relatives, and she is barely 2 years old. Forcing her to channel her luck for Julia has caused a backlash. Your good fortune has inverted into a curse. Miss Julia is now shrouded in a dark, malevolent aura. He gave them a long, meaningful look. I've said all I can. The rest is up to you. With that, he left. Julia let out a choked sob. I'm just an adopted daughter. I should have never been greedy for the Shaw family's wealth. Then Mommy and Daddy wouldn't have been cursed. She straightened her shoulders. It's better to sacrifice me so that my parents and brothers can have their good fortune back. Her words were so noble that, of course, they refused. They swore they would never let her suffer alone. My eldest brother's voice was firm. It's not your fault, Julia. It's Mia. She's been biased against you from the start. We won't let a toddler dictate our lives. My third brother added wistfully, if only Julia were the lucky charm. They all nodded in agreement. I wanted to roll my eyes. Julia's gaze toward me had turned fearful, but in private, she became vicious, pinching me and withholding food. I wasn't a normal child, though. Every time she tried to hurt me, I made sure the whole family felt the consequences. The Shaw's attempts to attract luck now only succeeded once or twice out of 10. After each failure, they racked their brains, trying to remember if they had accidentally mentioned Julia. This went on until I was 5. My parents' companies still floundered. My brothers were failures. And Julia had hit rock bottom, failing her exams so badly she couldn't even get into a community college. The night the results came out, she cried while the entire family gathered to console her. When she saw me, she lunged, leaving scratches across my face. It's all your fault. Why won't you give me your luck? My third brother tried to stop her. I can't even go to college, she shrieked. Can't I even take my anger out on the one who caused it? Don't you care about me anymore? My parents said nothing, pretending not to see. My eldest brother took Julia's hand. Don't worry, Julia, he whispered. We'll make her pay for this. That night, my 3 brothers dragged me out of the house, blindfolded me, and left me in a dark, deserted alley. Julia, we're leaving her here to teach her a lesson. This is for you. I cried out for them, but they never looked back. They drove off laughing, taking Julia to an amusement park. As the car's lights vanished, my heart froze. They thought they could punish me, but they had forgotten one thing. I was a lucky charm. I stumbled out of the alley and unleashed all the good luck I had been holding back for years, focusing it on a single wish. Moments later, a car pulled up beside me. Whose child is this? Are you lost? I looked up and recognized her immediately. Mrs. Sterling, one of the most powerful and philanthropic women in the city. Tears streamed down my face. My brothers, I sobbed. They're abandoning me. Mrs. Sterling lived up to her reputation. Not only did she rescue me, but she had her assistant drive me straight back to the Shaw residence. Laughter and music drifted from the driveway. My parents and brothers had transformed the villa into a fairy tale wonderland for Julia's 18th birthday party. Don't worry, Julia, my father said. We've arranged for you to study abroad. Work hard, and your brothers will be here when you return. And here are some company shares as a birthday gift. Mom and Dad will always have your back. They all surrounded her, faces full of love, forgetting completely about the 5-year-old they had left in an alley. When I walked in, their smiles froze. The assistant holding me spoke coldly. My employer, Mrs. Sterling, would like to know how the Shaw family raises its children, leaving a 5-year-old alone in an alley in the middle of the night. My father forced a smile and reached for me. It's just a misunderstanding. The child is mischievous. We're grateful to Mrs. Sterling for bringing her back. I shrank behind the assistant, still crying. The assistant's gaze grew colder. It seems we will have to reconsider our upcoming partnership with the Shaw Corporation. My father's hand hung awkwardly in midair. He snapped at my brothers. How could you be so careless? You didn't even notice your sister was missing. Julia stepped forward, eyes blazing with indignation. It's not my brother's fault. They were with me. You should punish me, Dad. And Mrs. Sterling, please don't make things difficult for my father. It's all my fault. With that, she burst into tears and ran out of the house. My eldest brother panicked. It wasn't Julia's fault. It was our idea. Mia, are you ever going to stop? All you do is tattle. I looked at them calmly. Weren't you worried when I was gone? They exchanged glances, then mumbled. You're just a child. You're misremembering. The assistant produced a USB drive and plugged it into the television. Security footage of me being abandoned in the alley played for everyone to see. Their faces drained of color. The images were clear, undeniable. The assistant said, Mrs. Sterling feels a connection to Mia. She said if the Shaws cannot raise their own daughter, she will. I clung to the assistant's hand, knowing my chance to escape had finally come. Suddenly, my eldest brother burst back into the room, panic written across his face. It's Julia. She's been kidnapped. The kidnappers are demanding $100 million, or they'll take Mia instead. A video showed Julia tied up and crying in the back of a dilapidated van. My brother pointed at me, trembling with hatred. This is her fault. My parents' faces twisted in horror. My mother lunged at me, clutching my throat. If you hadn't shown up, Julia would have never run off. You have to save her. If Julia isn't safe, you will pay. Before she could finish, the front door burst open. I'd like to see anyone try, a commanding voice boomed. Mrs. Sterling strode in, sweeping me into her arms and fixing the Shaws with a sharp gaze. I happened upon this child and learned how she has been treated, abandoned in an alley, unwanted even by her own parents. If you don't want her, I will raise her myself. My mother's face went pale. Mrs. Sterling, Mia may be difficult, but she is still my daughter. This is a family matter. Besides, she's the reason Julia was kidnapped. The Shaws all turned to glare at me, but Mrs. Sterling merely stroked my face gently. She is just a child. As for the kidnapping, perhaps you should ask your precious, perfect daughter about that. She waved her hand, and another video began to play. On the screen, Julia was barking orders at 2 middle-aged men. Now you're supposed to act, so don't hurt me for real, okay? But you have to find a way to get Mia. When you do, you can scratch her face, break her hands, and throw her in with the beggars. The 2 men nodded meekly, taking orders from her. The Shaws' faces drained of color as they stared at the screen in disbelief. Within minutes, Mrs. Sterling's security team had located both the men and Julia. Julia, confused, immediately began crying about how lucky she was to have been rescued. My parents were silent. Mrs. Sterling let out a cold laugh. Kidnapped by men you hired yourself. A flicker of guilt crossed Julia's face before she looked pleadingly at my mother. But my mother extended a hand toward me. To Julia's shock, she said, "Mia, have you caused enough trouble? Since Julia is safe, we'll let it go this time. Don't push your luck. Now come home." I clung to Mrs. Sterling and sobbed. Only a fool would return to being their good luck charm. This was my only chance to escape. "Don't hit Mia," I whimpered. "Mia will be good." Mrs. Sterling's expression softened. "Don't worry, darling. I won't let you stay here." My mother shrieked, "Mrs. Sterling, she is my daughter. You have no right."
She scoffed.
"I have the right not to abuse a child or abandon her in an alley. I feel a connection to this child. If you won't raise her, I will. I am making this my business." Seeing her resolve, my parents' faces fell. "This is against the law. We are her legal guardians." "Mia, darling," my father cooed, holding out a plate of half-eaten cotton candy. "Mommy and Daddy would never hit you. Don't you want some?" I scrunched up my face and cried, shrinking away from the plate. Mrs. Sterling noticed, and her face hardened. "She's allergic to cotton candy," she said coldly. "The gelatin. Didn't you know?" My mother froze, instinctively pulling back the plate. "She's never had it before. How was I supposed to know?" Mrs. Sterling held me tight and walked toward the door, tossing one final sentence over her shoulder. "What goes around comes around. Wait for your karma." I was rushed to the hospital. The doctor said I was lucky to be alive. A child this young with a severe gelatin allergy without immediate treatment, the consequences could have been dire. Mrs. Sterling held me close. "You poor child. To be treated so cruelly at such a young age. Most parents treasure their daughters, but the Shaws are blind and deaf, fawning over that adopted girl instead. It's a good thing I found you when I did." Of course, it wasn't an accident. The moment my brothers left me, I had made my wish, spending all my luck for a single chance. That was how Mrs. Sterling had found me, giving me my first real opportunity to escape that house of horrors. While I lay on in 4-drip, Mrs. Sterling's husband, Mr. Sterling, arrived. After hearing my story, his brow furrowed with righteous anger. "They're monsters. To treat a 5-year-old like that, we cannot send her back. There's no telling what they would do to her." Mrs. Sterling nodded. "Exactly. We'll take her home for now, and figure out the rest later. Mia, darling, would you like to stay with Auntie for a while?" My eyes went wide, and I nodded eagerly. She stroked my hair, her gaze distant. "I was pregnant once. If I hadn't miscarried, my daughter would have been about your age. The moment I saw you, I knew you were a gift from heaven." I wrapped my arms around her neck and gently wiped away a tear from the corner of her eye. At the Sterling mansion, I was given a beautiful room, far grander than anything I had at the Shaws. That night, I pretended to be asleep while Mr. and Mrs. Sterling discussed what to do. I feel such a connection to her. My body was too damaged to have another child, so maybe we could adopt her, Mrs. Sterling said. "Bringing her home is the easy part. Getting the Shaws to sign over their parental rights, that's the challenge," Mr. Sterling replied. "You're right. We need a plan to make them agree." I fiddled with a tablet on the nightstand, pulling up a live video feed of the Shaw house. Mrs. Sterling gasped. I explained, "Mia saw Mommy use it to look inside the house." In the feed, my parents and brothers were huddled together, plotting furiously. "Mia is still useful. We can't let the Sterlings take her. But she's been cursing Julia. Shouldn't we just let her go? We can't waste her lucky charm powers. We'll come up with a plan. Invite the Sterlings over. Kill 2 birds with 1 stone," they whispered, completely unaware that their every word was being watched. Mrs. Sterling's face hardened. "You're a clever girl, Mia. This feed will help immensely." Sure enough, a few days later, the Shaws demanded my return, threatening to sue the Sterlings for kidnapping. The Sterling family is powerful, but why are they persecuting us? Why have they stolen our daughter? My parents cried to the media, sounding like loving, heartbroken parents. Mrs. Sterling held me protectively. "Are you aware that child abuse is also a crime? You should be the ones worried about being sued." My father hung his head in a show of remorse. "We would never abuse our child. A little roughhousing between siblings is normal. We are willing to talk this through and be reasonable." Mrs. Sterling considered for a moment, then agreed. As the Shaws left, they exchanged triumphant smiles, unaware their entire plan had been exposed. 3 days later, the Shaws arranged a dinner, a family meeting to smooth things over. Everyone knew it was a trap. On the day of the dinner, Mrs. Sterling dressed me in a beautiful, perfectly fitting dress. The moment my mother saw me, her eyes filled with tears. "Mia," she cooed, "I've missed you so much. Have you been okay these past few days?" I hid behind Mrs. Sterling and answered honestly, "Yes." My father pointed at me, his face red with anger. "You traitor. We raised you, and you run off with the first person who gives you food." I looked up calmly. "Annie Sterling gives me good food and pretty clothes. At home, the nanny only cooked what Julia liked, and I only wore Julia's old clothes." They fell silent, unable to argue. A flicker of regret crossed my mother's face. My father's expression hardened. "If you're only after her luck, Mrs. Sterling, don't bother. It only works for blood relatives." Mr. Sterling scoffed. "We have no need for it. Who in their right mind would rely on a 5-year-old for their fortune?" Mrs. Sterling said coolly, "Let's cut to the chase. Since you clearly don't want Mia, sign over your parental rights to us." My father refused immediately. "Impossible. This is a private family matter. What right do you have to interfere?" "We have the right as concerned citizens to report child abuse and domestic violence," Mrs. Sterling countered unflinching. The atmosphere thickened with tension. My father forced a laugh and gestured to the table, laden with food. "Let's not just stand here.
Eat.
We can talk as we dine." As soon as we were seated, my eldest brother began pouring wine for everyone. My father raised his glass with a triumphant smile. "We've done business before. You know you can trust me. Let's drink, and let this little misunderstanding be behind us." Mr. and Mrs. Sterling drank without protest. My father laughed, a triumphant, ugly sound, and stood. I knew letting the child pour the wine was the right move. "You didn't suspect a thing. Your glasses were laced with a special drug. If you don't want to die, you'll do exactly as I say." Mrs. Sterling twirled her wine glass, eyes cold with disappointment. Some people never learn. No matter how many chances they're given, they never recognize their own mistakes. My eldest brother looked confused. "Why aren't you reacting?" Mr. Sterling set his glass down and, like a magician, produced 2 empty glasses from his pocket. The glasses with the drug were these? Color drained from their faces. Before they could react, a horde of reporters stormed in, cameras flashing, microphones thrust forward. "Mr. Shaw, what is this drug? Were you attempting to poison Mr. and Mrs. Sterling? Is this about your child, or part of a larger conspiracy?" The 6 Shaws finally realized they had been outplayed. They tried to hide, to flee, but the reporters, who had been waiting outside and had seen everything, weren't about to let the story go. "What are you talking about?" "It's all lies," my father roared. "We just wanted our daughter back. They kidnapped her and slandered us." Mr. Sterling laughed coldly. "Still lying?
Fine.
Let's show the evidence." Surveillance footage from the Shaw living room was played on a large screen, their entire conspiracy exposed for dozens of cameras to capture. A collective gasp went through the room. Mr. Sterling held up the wine glasses. "If you still don't believe it, these will go for lab testing. The results will be public." My father turned on me, screaming, "It's you, ungrateful little girl, helping outsiders against your own family. You're evil." Mrs. Sterling stepped in front of me, brow furrowed. "Watch your mouth, Mr. Shaw. You attempted a crime. Are we not allowed to defend ourselves?" "I gave birth to her," my mother cried. "She should be on my side." As her words left her lips, the screen changed. Now the video showed my room at the Shaw house. My 3 brothers were surrounding me, hitting and kicking. Julia stood over me, eyes full of malice, grinding her heel on my fingers. "You were just unlucky to be born here," she sneered. "There's only room for 1 daughter. You're just extra." I was bruised and beaten, and no one came to help. My parents passed by the open door at different times, ignoring the sounds inside. An icy dread filled me. They had known. All along, they had allowed my brothers and Julia to torture me. The room erupted in chaos. Cameras focused on the 6 Shaws as reporters shouted questions. As they scrambled, Mrs. Sterling quietly led me out. She hugged me tightly. "My sweet girl, you're going to live with me now. We'll sort out the adoption papers, sooner or later." I couldn't wait. I secretly wished with all my might that the Shaw's luck would run out completely and forever. After that day, the Shaw family's downfall was swift. A major business deal collapsed, leaving them with massive debts. My parents and eldest brother were overwhelmed, while my other 2 brothers lost their jobs. The Shaw Corporation began to crumble. Finally, desperate, they came to the Sterling house to plead with me. "You're a lucky charm," my father begged, eyes wild. "If you just give us some good luck, we can recover. We're your parents. Would you really let us lose everything, starve on the streets?" Of course I would. I just hid behind Mrs. Sterling. She shielded me, her voice icy. "Mia is a 5-year-old child. You place far too much hope in her. Instead of blaming fantasy, reflect on your own failures." My eldest brother looked broken. "Mia, please. We know you can do it. It worked so many times before. Just help us one last time. If you save the company, we'll give you anything," he added through gritted teeth. "Even if you want to be adopted by them, we'll sign the papers." I hesitated, then glanced at Mrs. Sterling. She gave me an encouraging nod. After a long moment, I nodded back. The adoption process went smoothly. This time, no one from the Shaw family put up a fight. They meekly signed the papers, and I was officially welcomed into the Sterling family. Seeing my name, Mia Sterling, on the official documents filled me with a calm certainty. At last, my life had truly changed. As a final act, I granted the Shaw family one last stroke of luck. But fate has a way of twisting even well-laid plans. They had just received a substantial final payment from a project, enough to save them, when the very next day, their bank account was empty. Millions of dollars had vanished. A frantic investigation revealed that Julia had transferred it all. She had been planning her escape, waiting for the moment the funds arrived. Once she had the money, she abandoned the Shaws. She was caught before leaving the country, but a significant portion was never recovered. My former parents and brothers came to the Sterling house one last time, weeping and begging for forgiveness. "We see Julia's true colors now. She lied to us the whole time. Mia, you're our only daughter. Please come back." It was laughable. After years of abuse and torture, they expected a simple apology would fix everything. I said nothing. Frustration flared in them. My eldest brother grabbed Julia, who had been dragged along, and struck her hard across the face. "Mia, do you still hate her?" he growled, ignoring her screams. "I'll get revenge for you right now. For every time she hurt you, I'll hit her back." My other 2 brothers joined in, kicking and striking her. I pretended to be frightened, taking a careful step back. Mrs. Sterling raised her hand, stopping them, and called security. "This is your family drama. There's no need to stage a show here. Mia is no longer part of your family. Do not come here to torment her again." "I'm her mother," my former mother cried. "How could I have ever harmed her? Mia, you're my only daughter. Come back, and your brothers will care for you, and only you." I looked her in the eye and shook my head. "I had a dream," I said softly but clearly. "In my dream, Julia died, and you wanted to use my luck to bring her back. You strapped me to a lab table every day and experimented on me. It hurts so much. But my luck couldn't bring back the dead. I lost my legs and my eyes, and then I died too. As I was dying, I called you Mommy, but you said, 'I am Julia's mother.' So, I don't want to call you Mommy anymore. And I don't want to die." Her face went pale, as if struck by lightning. "That's impossible," she whispered. "I would never do that to you." I had nothing more to say. I turned and walked back into the house, leaving them behind. From that day on, the Shaw Corporation withered. Its collapse was inevitable. The Sterlings even ensured the final blow came swiftly, leaving the company no chance to recover. The news filled with images of the 5 Shaws, their faces gaunt and defeated. As for Julia, she had been so brutally treated by her family that she suffered a complete mental breakdown and was committed to a psychiatric hospital. Years passed before I saw any trace of them again. Then, one day, a small news item caught my eye. A cargo ship smuggling illegal immigrants had been attacked by pirates and sunk at sea. On the list of the deceased were all 5 members of the Shaw family. Not one had survived. At breakfast, Mrs. Sterling saw the news and shook her head. What a tragedy. I looked down at the perfectly cooked, golden-yolked egg on my plate and smiled sweetly. "Thank you, Mommy." A new day had begun, filled with warmth, safety, and the quiet joy of a life finally my own.